What is going on, everybody? Welcome to, I would say this is episode 49 in total, but I know this is also the first episode of our brand new season. So I don't really know if I should call this episode 1 of season 2 or just episode 49. But either way, we are one episode away from number 50 in total. And guys, it is great to finally have some Hawks basketball to do a deep dive on, because as you all know, we alluded to it a lot over the last few episodes. The Hawks played 2 preseason games this past week, one against the Rockets, which we unfortunately lost, very close game, and then one against the Grizzlies this past Saturday, which we won in pretty convincing fashion towards the end of that game, and had a lot of great performances, especially from Jalen Johnson, who has made his return to the court in these first 2 games. And, of course, we have Asa Newell that we're going to get into. A lot of fun aspects. And like we also alluded to in the last episode, this past Thursday, we took a trip down to State Farm Arena for Fan Fest. And I got this hat at Fan Fest. Joyner got that Hawks polo. And Chase got that Hawks golf shirt. So we're all repping the merch.
Another thing I got, too, is obviously, as you guys know, you guys don't know already, we traded for Kristaps Porzingis back in, what was it, June, July? It was June.
I want to say July. I think it was July when we got him.
No, it was June because it was June because it was before a day before the draft.
Oh, right.
June. And if you guys know, Kristaps Porzingis' nickname is the Unicorn. And so me personally, I thought it'd be pretty funny if he had like a social like unicorn merch, maybe like a unicorn horn or something like that, something silly that we could all like buy. But lo and behold, the Hawks were selling these.
W, man.
This is a unicorn, and to prove that this is a Hawks and that this is a Hawks merch. The Hawks logo right here. This is Kristaps Porzingis. This is not a random unicorn that I bought at Walmart or Target.
That's a Kristaps Porzingis effect. He's monster. He hasn't even played an Atlanta Hawks game yet, and they're selling stuffed unicorns in the Hawk shop.
Yeah. So like me personally, me personally, I just like had to buy that because like it's stupid, but it's stupid, but it works because it's for Kristaps. So like great marketing by the Hawks shop to do that. It's just a all around good time at the Hawks shop.
And look, I was tempted to get the unicorn myself because, as y'all saw in the last episode, we participated in our fantasy basketball draft, and I finally came up with a name for it. Remember, I did draft Kristaps Porzingis, so I named my team the Post Up Ponies. So just for that reason alone, I was also tempted to go get the stuffed unicorn, but instead, Andrew and I are pretty big golfers. We golf quite often, so I saw this really cool Atlanta Hawks golf polo that was it feels comfortable, very, very air flowy, get some good AC in this shirt. Matter of fact, we actually just got back from playing a golf tournament. I did wear this golf shirt and I played pretty good in it. So I think it was a pretty good purchase. And Andrew also got a Harry the Hawk driver head for his golf set at the merch shop this past Thursday as well at the Fan Fest. So we had a great time at the Fan Fest. We saw some open competition between the players. We saw a rookie talent show that was really fun. So all around good time. W experience, man.
Yeah, I mean that's probably been my favorite experience out of all the stuff that we've been to. Just because it was just a good time. Just the vibes were it was just like a stress-free night. I mean, because obviously the draft is stressful, games are stressful because you win or lose those. And with drafts, either they make a bad pick or they trade their pick away, which is stressful. This event was completely non-stressful, just all around good vibes. Try to get autographs, but we couldn't catch them in time.
We noticed that the players were leaving the court. So me and Chase try to go down to the players tunnel. But I mean, by the time we got there was a whole sea of people. There was no shot we were ever going to get.
We forgot we got this too. I forgot about that.
They were sponsored by CareSource, so they're passing out a lot of these foam fingers.
Yeah.
We also got to take a picture with the College Park Skyhawk mascot, who just so happened to be in attendance.
Which was, to be honest, I had no idea that like G League teams had mascots.
I didn't either till that night.
Well, who knew that the freaking sponsor had a mascot? There's a dude in a bear suit walking around on the court. So I guess anything can technically have a mascot. But before we get into our start bench cut, another thing I want to point out that I thought was pretty funny about the night is, of course, every time we go to make a trip to State Farm Arena for anything Hawks related, we always have to make a good old classic pit stop to Ted's, get us a nice little bison burger, which is exactly what we did. And sitting down, the guy at the table next to us, there's a couple sitting there. And, of course, we were all decked out in our Hawks jerseys, our Hawks hats. So it was clear that we were all Hawks fans. And he just so happened to be a former college basketball coach. They're from Cleveland, so they were Cavalier fans. And we just kind of sparked a conversation talking about Hawks basketball, Cavs basketball, and just basketball in general. And at the end of the conversation, he just happened to point out, like, dang, that was a good conversation. Like, you guys should have a podcast. And we were like, well,
we have a podcast.
Funny enough, that's just so happened what we do. And all we do is talk Hawks basketball. So that was just kind of a good little feeling moment for me, because it's like, hey, somebody acknowledged that we were built for this. So I just thought that was kind of a cool. And he was an awesome dude. We had a really good conversation with him. So that was kind of a fun way to start the night. So, the vibes were all around just really well. Yeah. The only negative thing about the night was we just so happened to get caught in some pretty heavy rain on our way to the game. But, if
we made it work.
If that's the only bad thing that happened all night, then I'd say it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse, but I guess we can go ahead and get into your start bench cut, because now, like you said, Angela, we actually have some Hawks basketball games to recap, and we got a game to preview also that's happening later tonight against the Miami Heat, our home opener for the preseason.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Hawks Fan Fest conversation is actually a good segue to my start bench cut, because my start bench cut it's a pretty simple one, but it is centered around Fan Fest. Basically, what my start bench cut to you guys is, of course, during the event, they start things out with a little skills challenge with some of the players. We had a little 3-point contest between some of the players. So we got to see some players, some of them a little outside of their own element, just kind of compete and showcase some of their skill sets. So my simple little start bench cut to you guys is start bench cut, meaning just, kind of using that as a ranking list. Who are some of the guys that you saw debut or showcase their skill sets during Fan Fest that you guys are most excited to see for the regular season that you might have not expected? Because I think there's a few little surprises in there for me personally.
Chase, you want to start or do you want me to start? I already got my. Believe it or not, I already know who I want to start. Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to think about this for a little bit. So actually, Jordan, you can go ahead and take the reins on this one.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm gonna. Well. Okay. So, I mean. So, just to clarify, so Nikhil Alexander-Walker was not there at Fan Fest. We believe that he was. We believe that he's dealing with something personal because he was not at. Because he did not. He was not in. He was not at. He was not at the second preseason game either. So we believe that he's dealing with something personal, and just we want to put prayers out to him. Hopefully things are going good for him, and hopefully we can see him back on the court for game one of the season against Toronto. But I'm going to start out with who I was really excited to see, which was Kale in the 3-point contest. That dude was shooting the ball left and right. Like, he surprised me the most out of everyone, honestly. Just because I didn't really know who he was. Like he was like a last minute signing besides Charles Bassey. It's like a very under the radar signing, but they have a very solid shooting bench now. Luke Kennard, Caleb Houston, and Vic can shoot a bit too. So I'm gonna start Caleb Houston. I'm gonna bench. I'm gonna bench Kristaps just because I can't cut Kristaps and I'm not gonna like start him. I'm just because that's like the obvious choice is to say Kristaps. Kristaps just wouldn't want to see a 7'3" guy shoot the ball and be able to defend and all that. So it was like a big signing.
Quite literally,
so I'm gonna bench Kristaps and then. Who am I gonna cut?
I think I have my list figured out for the.
I think I got mine figured out now.
I think I'm gonna cut our second round rookie last year, Nikola Jarrett. I don't know how to say his last name, but I'm not gonna butcher. So I'm just gonna call him Nikola. Just because like I want to have him on this list, but like. I'm not gonna like bench him, but just just because like I personally think that he got second place in that whole rookie talent show thing with that whole baby costume. That was funny.
Oh, say again. I will survive.
Yeah.
Even though he had
that was funny.
Even though he had no idea what the lyrics were, he was just mumbling a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, I think for my list, I think I'm going to cut. So just to clarify, we're cutting like a person that like. Are we really just ranking like from least to worst, like kind of like from like least to most, kind of the players we're most excited to see?
Yeah, we're just using it as a ranking system.
Okay, I thought so. I guess I'm gonna cut Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just because, I don't like Jordan. So I actually did look it up just to clarify. So the reason he didn't play Saturday against the Grizzlies was actually not because of injury. He has no reported injury. They said that the only thing that Quentin Snyder didn't even really speak on it, on why he didn't play. So the only thing people are assuming was that Quentin Snyder just decided just to give the veterans some rest. Kind of just because he did look really good in that first preseason game against the Rockets. So maybe it's just one of those situations where Quinn Snyder's like, we saw him against Houston. He's already bringing to the table what we expect. Let's not push him through another preseason game. He's a seasoned veteran. He's been in the league a couple of years. He doesn't really need these preseason games like the younger guys do. So how about we just sit him, give him some rest so he can continue to prepare his body for the actual season? That's what everybody's kind of reporting the situation was. So we didn't really. We saw a lot from him on Saturday. He was our best player off the bench that we did see Saturday for sure. Didn't get not Saturday. I meant against the Rockets on Monday. Didn't get to see him Saturday, and we didn't get to see him participate in any of the skills events during the Fan Fest. Because again, he wasn't there. I don't know if that was for more rest or for personal reasons. So I'm going to cut him only because we haven't.
Like, why would he have been there? Like, I was like, Trae was there, Dyson was there, Johnson was there. Like, when I have him, they didn't really do much besides Trae.
Yeah.
In the 3-point contest, like, why not have him there just for the fans to see him? I mean, like,
exactly, yeah. Even the players that didn't participate in anything, like you said, Joyner, even the coaches. Now, we didn't see Quinn Snyder there. I'm not saying he wasn't there. We didn't spot him. But a lot of our assistant coaches, if not all of them, were there.
Yeah, was there. Corver was
exactly.
There. Shout out to the GMs, man. Shout out to the GMs, honestly.
Even Bob Rathbun was there. Didn't see Dominique, but Bob Rathbun was there sitting sideline. He sat and talked to Trae Young for a little bit. So even though players and coaching staff who didn't participate in anything. But my point is, I'm just cutting him only because we haven't seen a lot from him. But what we've seen from him so far is exactly what we expected from him. So I'm expecting that the Nikhil Alexander-Walker that we saw in Minnesota, especially in last year's postseason, looks like that's going to be the version of NAW that we're going to see in Atlanta Hawks uniform. And then I'm gonna bench Kristaps, because same thing. We'll kind of get what we're expecting. But what I know like the fan fest was just kind of a situation where you kind of just like mess around. You're not taking anything too much seriously. But they started fan fest with the players kind of going out there and warming up for a little bit, kind of shooting around. And one thing that we did notice was Kristaps was shooting a lot from deep. I wouldn't even say that was just from fan fest. The preseason, the opener, our very first possession, Kristaps pulled up from deep. Now he didn't make it. In fact, I think he missed every single three that he took against the Rockets. But the point is that he's shooting, and he's shooting from deep. Yeah. I kind of want to – we already know what he can do in the post, what he can do in the paint. I mean, he's a monster. He's a unicorn. He's tall. He's going to dominate in the paint against practically anyone. But I want to see him kind of step into a Zachary Ricochet role a little more and take that size advantage beyond the arc. And just because you're tall, don't be scared to shoot. That's a huge advantage, being tall. Like a Victor Wembanyama, like a Ricochet. If you're that tall and you can shoot, that just adds doubles, triples to your skill set and makes you that much more dangerous of a player. So I'm really excited that Kristaps is kind of opening that. Now, obviously, he's been doing this before, but I feel like he's kind of opening it a little bit more in his role with Atlanta. I think that's something that's not surprising to Quinn Snyder because, I mean, Zachary shoots, Aneke Conway shoots, Mo Gay shoots. So Quinn Snyder likes to convince and talk his big men into shooting. So that's not really surprising to see Kristaps kind of open that part of his game up a little more under Quinn Snyder. And then that leads me to I'm going to start. And I'm going to start.
Let's try to make this last point kind of quick because it's already 4:21.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we have a good bit of time to explain and kind of get into the first two preseason games. Yeah. So make this next point pretty quick because I still have to go through mine.
Okay, I'm just gonna say Keaton Wallace. Most reasonably because we already saw what Keaton Wallace did last year. I feel like he's gonna step into a much bigger role this year, and he's continuing to flourish and grow into a much better guard, a more dangerous guard, a very underrated guard. I think he has a lot to prove in this league. I'm expecting him to step up big time this year. So I'm gonna start Keaton Wallace.
Because I'm glad you said that because unfortunately I'm not left with a lot of time to go through my star bench cut, which is okay because I plan on making it quick anyways. But I'm glad you mentioned Keaton Wallace because that's actually who I'm going to start is Keaton Wallace. So I'm glad I wasn't expecting you to put Keaton in there. But the reason that I want to put Keaton in there is because during the first kind of main event of the Fan Fest, they did a little selected player skills challenge, and it was mirror image of what they do on the All-Star weekend experience. Just kind of how these little, you have to start with a layup, you have these obstacles you have to weave through, you have to demonstrate a bounce pass, then a chest pass, and then go through some more obstacles to make another layup, and it's all timed and that kind of thing. So a lot of precision, agility if you want to be quick, because of course it was a competition. And Keaton Wallace was kind of the only one. I mean, he wasn't the quickest, but he was one of the only ones that went through the entire obstacle flawless. I mean, the chest pass looking flawless, the bounce pass looking flawless. And I know those are just small things, but it's something because Chase, you said it, and I've said it in pretty much every episode leading up to this one, that I am demanding Quinn Snyder to give Keaton Wallace more minutes this year because what he demonstrated last year off the bench, and especially when Trae Young was dealing with the little minor injuries and he missed a game or two from time to time, Keaton Wallace stepped up in a massive way. There's especially the game in Chicago when practically everybody in our starting lineup was injured, and Keaton Wallace led the way with a near 30-point performance. He was near perfect from the field, and just every aspect of his game seemed pure. And every time he sent down at College Park to play a few games for the Skyhawks, he just dominates. I mean, he pumps up 30-pointers, big stat lines all around. His assist numbers are high. His rebounds are not high, but the most impressive statistic of them all is his plus minus when he's on the court is just above par from what you see from most guys that are sent up from the G League, especially right off the bat. And the fact that he's able to go deep minutes and not look fatigued the entire time just kind of shows the amount of hustle and play that he has when he's on the court. So that's something that I really want to see Quinn Snyder utilize off the bench, because we already have a much strengthened, tightener bench this year because of the offseason acquisitions. So let Keaton Wallace play with those guys, build a strong chemistry, and up his playmaking abilities that he already showed last year with a depleted roster. And quick points, I'm in a bench. Actually going to agree with Joyner about the Caleb Houston decision there, because that 3-point contest, Joyner touched on it, how I think he won the 3-point contest.
Yeah, he won it.
He did, yeah.
I figured, and it was really carried by him going 5 for 5 from the top of the key. That's something to his game. Again, we knew very little about this guy when he joined the roster. That's something from his game that I really didn't know about, because he really demonstrated himself to be a good catch and shoot kind of guy, a little dish out guy. Let's say Keaton Wallace is on the court because Caleb Houston's probably going to come off the bench in those little garbage play minutes. Or maybe Quinn Snyder has a bigger role for him. Who knows? But let's say Keaton Wallace is driving into the lane, he gets congested. He can easily dish out to Caleb Houston at the top of the key for a spot-up 3, just something like that. And like Jordan said, we already acquired a lot of good spot-up shooters throughout the offseason with Luke Kennard. We already have Vint Krejci. So it's really nice to have another spot-up shooter come out of the missed a little bit. And then bench, like you guys said, who's not excited to see a 7-foot unicorn run out of that tunnel? And like you said, Chase alluded to his ability to shoot from deep, which is something he's really been growing on in his preferable game, especially during his years in Boston. He made a half-court shot, just kind of shooting around with Trey and Vic. They were all doing a little half-court challenge, and Kristoff was the one to make it. So, I mean, yeah, just fun seeing him in a Hawks jersey. That it just still seems surreal, even to this moment, but especially seeing him run out onto the court for the first time, yelling Tingus Pingus, just really made me happy.
Yeah,
But I guess we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the first preseason game against the Houston Rockets, which did not include Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant, of course, made his Rockets debut in the very next preseason game, but he was sidelined in the first one against the Hawks, just in your basic street clothes, because, it's Kevin Durant. He doesn't need a lot of preseason time. There's really no need for an explanation. But for the preseason opener, just to get the score out there for those who don't know, we did unfortunately lose 122 to 113. But it's what you expected right out the gate from the moment tip off.
It's preseason. It was game on the preseason. I mean, I don't think anyone expected it. I don't think anyone expected like perfect play out both teams. In fact, I think both teams played sloppy. It wasn't just us. I think both teams just played sloppy. Houston just fixed their problems more. But then also we did play our bench the second half anyway.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And that's the point of preseason, of course. Of course, your goal is always to win, but essentially you just want to experiment with, let's say, if you're off-season heavy like the Atlanta Hawks, you really want to experiment with your new pieces and see how they equate to the roster you've already had to kind of know going forward what their true role is on the team. So, of course, that's going to cause a little bumps in the road. It's going to cause for a little sloppy play, a lot of miscues. That's fine. This is where you want to get that off your chest. This is where you want to just get all of your kinks in order before the actual season starts, so that way you can perfect it the best you can. So wins and losses aren't weighed almost any during the preseason, because there's a lot more to the story than just what the score shows. But, of course, scores are still relevant, so I just want to throw that out there. But, of course, like I was getting into, just as we expected from the tip-off, Atlanta and Quinn Snyder experimented early with Porzingis, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Richardson, Dyson Daniels in the mix, and we rotated that very heavily through the first half. And like Jordan said, completely put all of our veterans on the bench for the second half. And the Rockets, they got big production and a lot of short bursts, and that's really how they outscored Atlanta across the quarters, which led to the final score. But I just kind of want to get into just really the whole tally of the game, and then I'll just kind of let you guys break open into the deeper parts of it. But what I kind of noticed right off the gate, and Jordan kind of touched on it just a few seconds ago, was in the first quarter, it was a lot of low to moderate scoring, really, for both sides, not just Atlanta, because it was both teams kind of shaking off the rust. But the Hawks were competitive early, but nothing really decisive. Like it seemed like we played very good from protecting the rim, but then when the Atlanta Hawks would move into transition, that's when the sloppiness showed, because I think the Hawks were still trying to figure out where does this ball need to go in terms of where the new guys are on the court, and how can we use their new specialties to the best of our ability to really put an emphasis on these fast break opportunities. And, I think, just throwing the veterans off to the side for a minute, we really had a bench-driven offense, and I think the starters were still finding rhythm, so it really led to the bench having to do most of the heavy lifting. And I know that sounds like a bad thing, but in a preseason game, we got to see a lot with what the bench had to offer, because with preseason rotations, the Hawks' second unit they were kind of forced to provide a lot of the bulk scoring, and we saw a lot of spurts like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Chase was talking about during his start bench cut, and Luke Kennard were mentioned as key factors for the Hawks bench sparks come regular season. And it showcased a lot of that promising depth, but it also showed that the starters weren't yet consistently imposing on the other end either, because we gave up a lot of transition points. But another thing that I really want to hone into for the preseason is what happened on the interior side in terms of defensive mismatches, because we can talk about all day how the Hawks were lackluster on scoring on the scoring end of the court, but defensively it seemed like, because of the new pieces on the bench and on the starting court, the Rockets kind of led in terms of how they moved the ball, and it created a lot of mismatches, because it seemed like the Hawks didn't quite understand how to position everybody on the on the paint, because Houston's interior game, I mean, they have Sengun, who had a really good game, and Capella, was playing against his former team, and he had a lot of screen pick and rolls on coverages, and the switches on those pick and rolls looked very inconsistent for the Atlanta Hawks. And Houston's, they had a lot of short burst efficiency. I mean, they had big numbers in very limited minutes, which created the gap in the scoreboard, and which caused Quinn Snyder to call a lot of quick timeouts because of these big runs the Rockets were going on. And then, of course, Trae Young is a big target in this conversation, because how does him being the leader of this team, how does he fit in his new role with these new players? Because Young still function as a primary creator. I mean, that's something that's not going to shy away no matter who you put on the court with Trae Young. And he generated a lot of high value looks, but his minutes were, of course, obviously managed, and the Hawks leaned on a lot of catch and shoot options when Trae Young was sat on the bench, and that previewed how Atlanta will have to rely on bench creators when Trae Young's not on the court. So that's kind of my take. And before I throw it to you guys, I just want to give my biggest takeaway, so that way you guys can give your favorite takeaway. But my favorite takeaway, which I think is probably Chase's favorite takeaway, is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, because he led the Hawks in scoring that night off the bench, and that just suggests that he can be an immediate go-to off the bench for the Hawks for shot creation and scoring in those reverse minutes that he has. And, I mean, what happened off the bench both provided that big spark that the Hawks need. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker finished with 13.
He finished with 10.
10. Okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, 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 no. I'm sorry. 13. No, you're right. You're right.
Okay, that's what I thought. And Luke Kennard added a lot of timely threes on these off-ball shooting and spacing that we knew that he was going to provide. And that second unit play really helped the Hawks stay in that game until the Rockets pulled away in the fourth quarter. And I just think that was an obvious point of emphasis for that game is how is the bench going to play with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Luke Kennard. And I just thought it was very impressive. A lot of good takeaways, even though it resulted in a loss. But I'll go ahead and let you guys finish the rest of the analysis if you guys have any takeaways.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, like you said, Andrew, we totally agree. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was my favorite point of the game, but to me, it wasn't more specifically about his offense. It was actually a lot about his defense. Now, we talked about it all throughout this podcast ever since we got Nickeil Alexander-Walker about emphasizing his play this previous postseason in Minnesota during their playoff run in the Western Conference. He played phenomenal, especially defensively, and kind of really made a name for himself because, I mean, everybody knew Alexander Walker on Minnesota. They knew how big he was coming off the bench. But, I mean, his defensive play this past postseason was scary, especially considering his matchups. And so that's what made this signing from Atlanta that much bigger because everybody's like, okay, this is the guy that just impressed the entire league with his defense during the postseason, the most important part of the season. So everybody's saying, like, Atlanta's got like a legit six-man of the year contender on their bench now because we know he's already dangerous offensively, but look how much he's added to his defensive game. And to me, that's what he highlighted the most against Minnesota, especially when he was on the court with Dyson Daniels. We talked about it in our Hawks group chat during the game. We were like, look how nasty of a front court defensively Atlanta has when Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels are on the court together. And we know Quinn Snyder. He's no Tom Thibodeau. Like, he's going to share these minutes. He's going to share it pretty evenly. So, and he's going to mismatch players, especially when you have this deadly of a starting lineup and this deadly of a bench. You can mismatch it any way you want. I can already tell you right now, this is going to be one of his favorite pairings on defense when he wants to up that front court defense. I can't tell you how many times I expect we're going to see Dyson Daniels in NAW share this court together, mainly for their defensive purposes, and they're both stealing machines. I mean, we already know Dyson Daniels shattered the league by storm with the amount of steals he racked up last year. So imagine just how much
last year for deep play.
He really did. Now, we can rant on and on about that because I feel like we are. I feel like we already have in a way. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he's got quick hands and he can take on any guard that comes his way. And like I said, I think this is definitely going to be our leading six man. I can expect him to get the most minutes. I know he's going to share them quite often with everybody else around him, but I could expect him to get the most minutes. Now, the only year he's ever averaged a steal on a team was his second year in the league back when he was on the New Orleans Pelicans. Ever since that, he's been averaging about half a steal. But I'm going to up it. I think this year he's going to average about 1.5 to maybe two steals a game because everybody's going to be worried about going against Dyson Daniels defensively. They might forget about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and they're going to find out quickly he adds just a threat in that category, just like Dyson Daniels. So that was my favorite part of the game. But Jordan, what do you think?
We're going to go 3 for 3 over here, but I'm going to lean more towards Shakes' point. I'm like I told you guys, I am so excited for that defensive duo of Nala and Dyson Daniels.
Yes.
Guys, defense wins championships. I've said that throughout my time talking about sports. I'm just so excited for this front court defensive duo. We got Kristaps. Sending 7-for-3 guys sending shots back. But I'm really excited for. I think could sort of match Nickeil's minutes on the bench is Luke Kennard.
Oh, for sure.
the guy that, or just the guy that can, or just the guy that can, that can like not necessarily like match Trae shooting ability, but like just like, or just to, like have that guy, or just to have the guy like in there for an extra shooter because like in close games when we're like down by like 2 or 3 with like 15 seconds left, we're gonna have Luke Kennard like in the game at the end because people are gonna be doubling Trae just like they like all season long when we were in close games. Towards the end, and that's why we had to give the ball away to like guys like Okongwu or Jalen Johnson or guys like that. So that's my couple of guys that I'm excited to see is the front court defensive and is the no, it's I think it's the backcourt defensive duo. It would be
Oh, yeah.
and Veston and then obviously like I said, Luke Kennard and Kristaps is who I'm excited for the most.
Yeah, and of course, how can we talk about Hawks preseason basketball and not even mention Asa Newell making his debut?
Yeah.
Of course, the Hawks first-round draft pick, which, by the way, is we didn't mention it during our FanFest rant, but apparently Dyson Daniels was in charge of giving all the rookies their costumes when they did the little talent show, whatever, but it was absolutely dirty that he made Asa Newell come out there dressed up as a Yellow Jacket, considering he was a Georgia Bulldog. That was just flat out.
That had to be the reason he chose that outfit. I don't see another reason.
Like no, 100% that has to be the reason. I mean, like he plays for Atlanta Hawks. Georgia Tech is based in Atlanta. That's got to be the reason.
Oh, of course. But you know what? Listen, he had quite a stinger in his debut game against the Rockets.
Pun? Stinger?
Hey, Stinger, Yellow Jacket?
Well, that's what I was going with. I was making that an intentional pun. I'm glad you guys caught on to that. But yeah, so what was I going to say? Oh yeah, it was a little bit of surprise to us that he was on the court because before the game, there was a report online that Quinn Snyder was just going to rest Asa Newell for the first preseason game since he had a lot of upheld minutes in the summer league, and that he was going to make his debut game not until tonight against the Miami Heat. But he ended up playing both preseason games, which was a good sign to me because I didn't want him to go the first 2 without ever touching the court. I want to see how this rookie produces early before the regular season starts, especially since he's going to be having an important role with second-year guy Zachary Richardson, and the fact that this is a very finals-worthy offense or lineup that we have. So he's going to fit in somewhere in order for the Hawks to make those expectations a reality. But something that I didn't even think about was Asa coming off the bench and how he might be paired with Keaton Wallace, because that's a pairing that Quinn Snyder really pushed in that game against Houston, because both of those guys got small windows of play in the first game against Houston, but we saw a lot of their communication early, which those are 2 guys that I really want to see have a duo effect on the court, because when Keaton Wallace runs plays for the bench offense, he tallies assists and he played mistake-free offense, which is something that I have to say Trae Young did not do in that preseason game. He had a lot of ugly turnovers, and turnovers hurt, and turnovers reflect on the scoreboard. And multiple assists and no turnovers in this sport is something that I love to see from a guy like Keaton Wallace, who was supposed to lead the offense when Trae Young is not on the court. And the rookie Asa Newell made a couple highlight plays. He had a block and his first career NBA 3, and both had noticeable energy and noticeable impact in those second unit minutes. And what that means to me is that shows the depth that the Hawks has in those 2-way hustle wings, because both those guys coming off the wing, because Keaton Wallace, though he's going to play point, he utilizes what the defense shows on the wing. That's something we saw him do last year, and that's of course what Asa Newell was going to be doing, playing that wing position. And Wallace, to me, he legitimately looks like a real candidate for, like I keep preaching, rotation minutes in the second unit because of his playmaking and the fact that he produces good ball pressure when he's playing defense, because he forced a few turnovers himself, which is always why his plus minus is so high, because he forces turnovers with his ball pressure defense, but doesn't turn over the ball when he's making these plays. And Asa Newell, good Lord, gives the Hawks an upside on the defensive wing as well, because he creates good floor spacing even as a rookie, because I think that's something that we saw in the preseason. Because he got a lot of minutes, he knew how to space the floor properly, and both of those guys were on the court together, could be good rotation and those two-way contributors early in the season, depending on the matchups, of course, because it always ends up with how the defense plays itself, because you have to make adjustments accordingly. But to me, just based on what the Rockets showed on the floor, I saw a lot of that early, and that's something that really excites me, because if those two guys can get a chemistry going, then like you said, Chase, you talked about how an Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels pairing could be deadly. Just think about the same thing when Asa and Keaton Wallace start reflecting off each other, because they both also play really good defense.
We have about 15 minutes left to go, so let's go ahead and transition to this past Saturday game against Memphis.
You guys take the floor on this one.
Jordan, do you want to start with this one?
I guess I can. So this past Saturday we had our second preseason game against the Grizzlies, where we got the win. So we finally have a win under our belt in the preseason. Again, preseason doesn't really matter, but our guys played a lot better. Jalen Johnson led us with 20 points, 7 for 11 shooting. Shout out gas stations there. Zachary Richardson had 16 points for shooting 6 for 8, 2 for 3 from beyond the arc. Kristaps made 2 3-pointers. Finished with 13 points and 7 boards. And Trae Young struggled from the field, but still finished with 11 points, 8 assists. And then Dyson had 9 points for 7 rebounds. And Okongwu off the bench had 12 points. Overall, like our team played well. Like we mentioned earlier, Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't play for personal reasons. Nikola Jurgis didn't play either. Neither did Charles Bassey, and Eli Nade didn't play either. But our bench didn't really play as well as they did in the first game. But still, overall, I'm good that we got the win. So Chase, will kick it off to you.
Absolutely. So my biggest takeaway. So we already saw in that first game against Houston, like we touched about it a little bit in our group chat, talking about how you can already tell there's already a good chemistry that's meshing with this team, with the new roster. But I think we saw it even more under a bigger microscope in this Saturday game against Memphis. And a key statistic I want to talk about, because we kind of did the same deal that we did against Houston. This was more starting in the fourth quarter that we put into bench pieces like Keaton Wallace, Vic Krivich played a lot in that fourth quarter. Asa Newell got a lot of playing time. A lot of Jacob Toppin's minutes, Muhammad Gaze, all their minutes came in the fourth quarter. But the starting lineup in that first half, especially, the way they were sharing the ball was beautiful. And matter of fact, 76% of the Atlanta Hawks shots in the first half were all assisted, meaning that's how we were moving the ball, especially on transitions. We had quick hands beyond the arc defensively that led to a lot of fast break points. That's if you see the Hawks Instagram, there's a beautiful picture of Jalen Johnson kind of doing like a LeBron James-esque dunk right there. That happened the first quarter with a good transition. Same thing happened with Onyeka Okongwu later in the game. But there is a lot of good pick and roll opportunities, a lot of alley-oop lobs that are coming off of baseline runs under the rim. And it wasn't just by Trae Young. Now, a lot of it was Trae Young, but you had moments where even Jalen Johnson were finding alley-oop opportunities to Kristaps Porzingis and situations like that. So it's almost like Trae Young and Quinn Snyder are opening up our offense and saying, hey, there's a lot of players that we can do pick and rolls, alley-oops, backcourt slants, backcourt baseline dunks. This is a good opportunity for all of us to share a ball. I mean, obviously, Trae Young is going to be our solidified playmaker like he always is, but don't expect players like Jalen Johnson, Kristaps Porzingis, Dyson Daniels, expect them to become even bigger playmakers in their roles. I think that's kind of just the offense that Quinn Snyder is building in Atlanta, and I love it. I'm all here for it. I mean, the more playmakers we have on the court together, the more opportunities are going to open up. And, with the size we have now with Kristaps and Kongwu, Jalen Johnson, Muhammad Gay, I mean, it's crazy. Like the opportunities to, be more dynamic on offense, to be more.
Oh, wow.
Look, the timing could not. Hey, answer that phone. Answer the phone and let her know she's on Atlanta Hawks podcast. Put her on speaker.
Hey, hello.
Hello. This is Jacob with the front office of the Atlanta Hawks. Just trying to reach out to Andrew. Are they available?
This is Andrew. Are y'all trying to sign me?
I wish we were. I'm trying to find myself as well. How you doing? How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. I was trying to give you a call real quick just because, I wanted to introduce myself as your personal contact with the Hawks for this year. But also, I saw that you made it out to our Fan Fest event. Is that correct?
We did. Yeah, me and a couple of my buddies went there. It was a great time.
Awesome, man. Well, tell me all about it. What was the experience like?
It was just a good time. It was just just we knew it was just going to be a laid back event. Of course, we were excited to see the new guys like Kristaps Porzingis come out there. That was just really cool seeing him on the court. But it was just the vibes were just really good. It was just a really chill event. All the fun little things they did on the court. It was just a good time hanging out with my buds. Just being at the arena. We went to the team shop and got a couple of the new merch, and it was just a really nice time. Just nothing stressful. We didn't have to worry about winning or losing. We just got there, hung out. It was a great time.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool. Well, you mentioned Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know if you'll believe me. My nickname in high school was actually Kristaps because I am 6'10" and I'm told I look identical.
Hey, dude, that's a great compliment. That's a great compliment.
Yeah, man. The Latvian killer. That's what they're calling me in high school. But, that's cool, man. I'm glad you guys had a good time. Do you normally get out to a lot of Hawks games during the year?
We do. Me and my buddies that I went with have already been talking about going. We've already been trying to pick out some games that we're going to hit up this year, including the season opener. We're going to try to make it out to that.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's going to be a fantastic game for sure. Getting Toronto in the house. We're actually playing them twice in a pretty close span early in the year. But, we look forward
I'll
to
let you roll the episode. I'll be right back.
Well, Andrew's going to step up a little bit. He's got a contract negotiation to work out with the Atlanta Hawks.
That cannot be a time and time more perfectly.
That's what we were talking about. We literally talked about this last podcast about getting random calls from the Atlanta Hawks, and out of any point of the day he could have called, he called right in the middle of our Hawks podcast. That just couldn't have been more perfect.
I'll bet you one of us is next the next hour or so.
Oh, I know. So I guess I'll go ahead and finish my point. Jordan, you can add on anything you have about this game. But I think, as I was saying, I think just the opportunity is there to be more dynamic with their offense. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks had one of the most explosive offenses in the NBA last year. And I think just the fact that we can add that explosiveness to just a more dynamic level, like the opportunity is there, and I'm all for it. And I was also excited to see a little more of Ace Neal. He only got 7 minutes. That was not till the tail end of the fourth quarter, but he got a huge and one when it was a one possession game that kind of sealed the deal. So that was really cool to see, being aggressive in the paint, fought for an offensive rebound, pulling up there for an and one. That was really cool. So just you can kind of see it all mesh together. We still have 2 more games in the preseason. We got one tonight at home against the Miami Heat that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And then we got our final one at home Thursday. Yeah. Then we got that one Thursday at home against the Rockets to kind of seal it up until our home opener against the Raptors. But John, is there any other point you like to emphasize on this game against Memphis?
No, just happy that we got in the preseason,
All right, man. Well, one, the thick of it, it's kind of cool to kind of so this. I mean, like we said, I mean, it's preseason. We're gonna see more of the bench pieces than we are the starting pieces. Let's kind of just see that, like, as we're getting closer and closer to opening night, we're starting to see a clearer picture of what kind of team everybody's gonna be. And I mean, the Atlanta Hawks, I think they're all. Based on what we're seeing on preseason, we're already looking on that upward scale towards, yes, we are gonna be a top 3 team in the East. Like we're kind of having that form, that look to this team. So, I mean, it's already looking up. Still, I mean, the season hasn't started yet. We still got to hope and pray that this is going to be a healthy season. Please, no injuries. I think if that's the case, then the sky is the limit for this Atlanta Hawks team. But we got about 7 more minutes on this podcast, so I guess we can kind of look towards.
If you do get hurt, the Andrew's got a call,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure if Vader's going to be back for the rest of this podcast. Like I said,
he's probably on his way to Atlanta right now to go officially sign his contract and get a jersey.
Yeah, but keep Sham's notifications on Twitter. You might get an update here in a little bit. You might get a little update here a little bit that Andrew Justin's going to sign a 10-day contract with the Atlanta Hawks. He might play tonight. Tune in tonight. We might see him suit up for this preseason game tonight. I mean, it's in Atlanta. That's only about 50 minutes away from our apartment. So, I mean, look, hey, home opener. It's good to be back in State Farm Arena playing some actual basketball for the first time. I mean, anything in particular you're kind of excited to see?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm just really excited to see Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dyson Daniels defensively. Kristaps, what we can do. We already know what he can do when he's healthy. So, we just gotta make sure that he's healthy, at least for 80% of the season.
Absolutely.
Like we don't. Ideally, we want him healthy for 100% of the season, but we know that he's human. Injuries, that's a part of sports.
Of course.
As long as we can have him for the majority of the season, then I'll take it. But I'm just I'm happy that we have a 3 healthy Hawks squad going into the season, and just hopefully that we can take advantage of these actual big name injuries like Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Kyrie Irving being hurt. Pushing for a high playoff seed come next April.
We've mentioned it many times before, like you said, Jordan. This East is wide open considering the circumstances. So if the Hawks don't at least finish top 3, top 4 in the East, it would feel like a disappointment. So that's definitely our goal and our range in terms of seeding. In terms of the matchup tonight, Khalil Ware has been dominant for Miami. They've been horrible this preseason. They're 0-4. So that's always fun to see, even though it's preseason. But
Tyler Hero doesn't play.
Say again?
I'm sure that Tyler Hero doesn't play. That's my hope. If he plays, then we're cooked.
Tyler Hero and his history with Atlanta. But Khalil Ware's been the show for Miami this preseason, averaging 20 points a game, 11 assists. That's going to be the top matchup for Miami to keep an eye on. But of course, Jalen Johnson, he's been our top performer. Excited to see more from him. I think as we're getting closer and closer to the first game of the season, we're going to see more of our starting lineup play, get them more minutes to get more prepared. So I think we'll see more of our starting lineup. So I think we'll be able to see maybe even more how the chemistry grows, how our offense expands, and see how they look defensively. Because we're looking really quick defensively. Obviously, that was expected, so hopefully they can keep that up. We'll kind of see how it goes. I'm kind of expecting a dominant win here from Atlanta tonight because, of course, Hero is not playing tonight. That was actually confirmed. Yeah, actually, just now saw that Ty Hero's not playing tonight, and then a lot of their lineup actually is game time decision, like Bam, Nikola Jovic. They're all game time decisions. So, and the only one that's a game time decision for Atlanta is Nikhil Alexander Walker. It says for rest purposes, so
Yeah.
maybe Quinn Snyder might decide to rest him again tonight. So it looks like we're gonna have a majority of our guys. So I think we can expect a pretty big win from the Atlanta Hawks tonight. And even though it's preseason, beating the Miami Heat's always a good time.
100%. Yeah. Could not agree more.
So got about 2 more minutes left. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
How did I mention this? About the dunk contest that happened.
Oh.
That 5'4", that guy was 5'4", and he dunked over a 7-footer, I believe. I think it was 7 foot. That coach,
Yeah.
like 7. How? He was shorter than Muggsy Bogues.
I'm not too sure. I remember there was a clip from last season, where these two guys did a dunk contest during the halftime of a Cleveland Cavaliers game. And I want to say it was the same two guys. I think it was the same people. And go back. I don't think they have any footage from what they did during Fan Fest, but I know for a fact there's an episode on YouTube. So for all y'all listening, go on YouTube and look up Cleveland Cavaliers dunk contest during halftime and watch the dunk contest. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And this was the kind of stuff they were doing at the Fan Fest. I mean, they weren't just like dunks you'd see at some random kid's driveway on a backyard basketball hoop. These are legit like things I haven't even really seen in the NBA's dunk contest. Like, this was some crazy stuff. So yeah, that was definitely cool to see. I had one more thing to say, and it just completely slipped my mind. Not too sure what it was I was going to say. Oh, well, I guess.
I guess we'll wrap up here. It's about to be 5 o'clock, so.
Yeah, we'll go and wrap it up. So thank you so much for tuning in to episode number 49 of the Talking ATL podcast. Be sure to tune in tonight to watch Andrew Jefferson make his Atlanta Hawks debut. Hopefully he can represent the podcast well. Andrew, I know you're not listening, but we'll be behind you, supporting you. Hope to see a dominant performance. But, oh, shoot, Andrew's got to get in the episode. Hold up.
Uh-oh.
Cut!